The Good, the Bad and the Library. This is the second sketch by Christina Longden and it's called We Welcome All Kinds of People Here.
Belinda is a volunteer on duty at the local library, now run by the local community, mid-50s, terribly well-to-do accent, kind of overbearing, incapable of opening her mouth without sticking her foot in it. Jen, a young woman, just moved to the area and visiting the library for the first time, is a wheelchair user. She should be used to people like Belinda by now.
Oh, hurrah! I've been waiting for that to happen all week, you know. Hurrah!
What?
Oh, gosh, I mean, the door's opening properly, you know. I mean, of course they open properly. Of course they do. But, I mean, I suppose the door's opening purposefully. With purpose, you know. They open in a certain way, don't they? And most people in our little village don't need doors like that, do they? Not like you do. So I think that it's just lovely when they open for someone who is...
a wheelchair user?
Yes. It's really nice to see them being used for the purpose they were designed for. They're very expensive, you know, those doors. Very pricey.
I'm sure they are. They do the job, though.
I mean, do you know the maintenance costs for those things? I'm sure if it wasn't for the fact that these public buildings have to be specially designed to accommodate the needs of the disabled, well, I'm sure we could save a good bit of money and we wouldn't be needing to rely on the likes of me, volunteers, I mean, for staffing buildings that quite rightly belong to us local people.
Yes, well...
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's lovely seeing those doors being used for their proper use, helping people with user needs, with special needs, such as yourself. But in themselves, those doors, they're turning out to be quite a bit of a pain in the posterior for us, to tell you the truth. You wouldn't believe how many children we get in every day, fiddling about with that button and doing that open-shut thing non-stop. Some children, and especially those who have a touch of the old ADHD and all that, well, they just see that button and they can't control themselves. And speaking of that flipping button, it never ceases to amaze me how stupid the general public can be. They can't even open the disabled doors just by using a simple button.
What button?
Well, that button there. You know, the opening button on the wall. The sign says, to open doors, press button.
I can't see a button.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise that you had an eye, that you were visually challenged well as being...
You mean blind? I'm not. My eyes are fine, thanks.
Oh. All right then. Well, this button here.
Well, that's hardly a button, is it? It's more like a great big round plaque of metal on the wall. No wonder people read the sign and can't find the button. A button's something small, like as big as your thumbnail. I mean, have you ever seen a person wearing something as big as a plate as a button on their shirt?
Well, not really.
And if you ask me, it's the people who design the sign, who are the stupid ones. They could have at least put an adjective before the word button in order to help people. You know, like, look out for the big ridiculous silver so-called button thing. But what you're really looking for is a metal plate with a picture of a stick man in a wheelchair in it.
Oh, gosh, well. Anyway, now you're here, inside the library. What can we do for you? We have a huge range of things that you can do here most days. For example, we have a writers' group, a book club, a quilting club. We even host a local Amdram acting group from Broad Bottom. Here, you know, the Broad Bottom Thespians, they're called. Well, Brian, who works on here on a Monday, will insist on referring to them as the Broad-Bottomed Lesbians, which is really a little bit naughty, isn't it? Well, that's because several of them are rather masculine-looking, if you put it like that. Oh, and our Knit and Natter group meet here every Monday. Now, Knit and Natter would be a great start. That would be a very nice one for you indeed. How do you fancy coming along to that on a Monday? We have a lot of ladies who really enjoy it. They call it the Stitch and Bitch in London, you know. Terribly popular there. Let me put your name down here.
Well...
Oh, I mean... Oh, I shouldn't have assumed that you can, that you are You are all right with your hands, aren't you?
My hands?
Well, it's just that, perhaps you can't use them for things like knitting, After all, I just noticed that...
What?
That your hand, that hand, it looks as if it could be...
What, this one?
Yes, you don't have to tell me what's wrong with you. It's absolutely none of my business, after all. It's just that I noticed that your hand looked rather,
Like it has a large tattoo of a spider's web on the back of it?
Oh.
Yes, it is a spider's web, see?
Oh gosh, silly me. I thought that...
So no, nothing's wrong with my hands. I just have a problem with wool.
Oh?
Yes, it was a freak accident with a ball of wool that landed me in this wheelchair.
Oh gosh, really? Oh, that's terrible.
No, I'm only joking.
Oh.
So if you don't mind, I'll just have the books. I don't want to do any group things. I'm just a big reader.
Oh, of course. I'll just get out of your way. To the books, dear. Now, do shout over to me, won't you? If you can't reach up higher to the top shelves, and I can just pop over and reach things down for you.
No, don't worry. I'll be fine.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my.
What?
You just stood up.
Yes.
Did you know you were going to do that just now?
Well, I've been doing it every day of my life so long as I can remember. So I pretty much assumed that it would happen.
Gosh, I thought you'd probably had one of those industrial accident things, where you can claim oodles of cash if you slipped on a kumquat in your local branch of Morrison's and it was no fault of your own.
No kumquats involved, no accidents either.
But I thought that you were, your legs, that you were...
Disabled?
Yeah.
Well, I am. A lot of people don't realise that being disabled can cover an awful lot of things, even for wheelchair users. It doesn't mean that you need to be in a wheelchair permanently. The condition that I have means that I can stand and walk, but that I mostly need to get out and about using a wheelchair. I can't walk far, and I have to conserve my energy, or I get really ill, see?
Well, I never would have thought that. Gosh, who? Well...
So no, it's nothing to do with tripping over exotic fruits or industrial accidents or anything that the adverts during Jeremy Kyle's show might lead you to believe to be a national epidemic.
Oh.
So it's not catching. It's not through someone else's neglect or abuse or even as a result of my own stupidity. So don't worry, I'm fine.
Ah, right. How long do you think you'll be, dear, looking at the books,
About 15 minutes, I think.
Fantastic! Yes, we love to see bookworms here, So you won't mind, will you, if I borrow this wheelchair then? Oh, come on, you lovely little wheelchair. Gosh, it's quite light to push, isn't it, when no one's sitting in it? It would just do the trick for me, this will.
What? Hey, oi! What you doing with my wheelchair? Come back.
Well, the trolley for the old books has a broken wheel, and we can't afford a new one since the council abandoned us to the sleights of fortune. We've been looking all around charity shops for a hostess trolley. There does seem to be a national shortage of them ever since the big 1970s retro revival thingy. So this wheelchair will do the job just nicely and save my back in the meantime. I suffer terribly with a slip disc, We've got a huge pile of books here I have to just whiz round with, you see, before the next volunteer takes over at 3:00.
But hey, I've got a bus to catch.
Oh, don't worry. You just stand there nicely while I pop this little lot back on the shelves. We'll have you back in your wheelchair and out through your nice swingy doors before we can say incapacity benefit.